First off, a big shout out and a heartfelt thank you to everyone supporting the channel, and especially to all the new subscribers joining our community. Your support means the world, and this content is for you. Make sure you've got your notifications turned on, hit that bell, and select all so you never miss an update when a new video drops. Now, let's get into today's topic, and it's a big one. We're diving deep into the profile of Omarion Hampton, the standout running back from North Carolina, who's been making noise ahead of the draft. Reports have confirmed his visit to Hall, and honestly, his name has been coming up for all the right reasons. Hampton's journey has been nothing short of impressive, and he's been someone we've talked about before. But now, with draft day around the corner, it's time to really unpack why this guy is climbing up draft boards and making teams take notice. What's remarkable about Hampton is how he managed to deliver such a strong season despite the odds stacked against him. North Carolina didn't have a quarterback lighting up the field. Their passing game wasn't exactly striking fear into opponents. Defenses knew that if they were going to shut down UNC, stopping Hampton was priority number one. And even then, he kept producing. That tells you something. When teams don't respect your passing game, they load the box, crowd the line of scrimmage, bring the pressure, try to shut down the run. But Hampton thrived in that environment. He ran through contact, created plays out of nothing, and became the engine of that offense. And not just on the ground. He was catching passes too, often being used in screen plays to compensate for the lack of a vertical threat. That dual threat usage pushed his total yardage close to 2,000. That's elite production, especially considering the context. Now, it's not uncommon for a running back to have a breakout season and then hit a wall the following year. Sometimes it's physical, wear and tear from carrying an offense. Sometimes it's just that defenses catch up. There are examples all over college football and the NFL where a guy is hyped as a first-rounder and then fades. That didn't happen with Hampton. He didn't just maintain his level, he elevated. His game looked more complete, his vision sharper, and his role even more critical with no real improvement from the air attack. When you look at his frame, his athletic traits, and the sheer consistency he brings, it's hard not to get excited. Sure, there's one area where he doesn't exactly shine, pass protection. He's not bad at it, but he's not dominant either. And to be fair, that's true for most top running backs in this draft class. There's only one or two guys who really pop as elite pass blockers, and Hampton isn't one of them. But what he brings to the table more than makes up for that. There's also a draft scenario that's been floating around, maybe not the most ideal setup, but one that could realistically play out on draft night. Imagine a situation where only one quarterback goes in the top 10. That would shake up everything. If a team like the Bears decides to go a different route instead of grabbing a quarterback, names like Omarion Hampton suddenly enter the picture in a big way. And I can see it. They've already brought him in for a top 30 visit, which usually signals serious interest. The idea of trading down a few spots also feels like it's on the table. Maybe they drop from the 10th to the 13th or even 17th spot, depending on who's still on the board. But even if they stay at number 10, I wouldn't be shocked at all if Hampton's the name they call. What makes this so interesting is how divided opinions can be at this point in the draft. Will I be thrilled if they took Hampton over someone like Tyler Warren or Will Campbell? Probably not, because I rate those guys slightly higher. But if the top 5 or 6 names that I really value are already gone, I'll be totally fine with Hampton at 10. He's in that next tier of players who can step in and contribute right away. He's versatile, fits well into multiple offensive schemes, and I love the potential of pairing him with someone like DeAndre Swift. That combination could be explosive. Of course, we still have to see how things shake out on draft night. There's always the possibility of surprise. Maybe a safety like Jahad Campbell goes earlier than expected, or an offensive lineman like Kelvin Banks or Josh Simmons gets picked ahead of schedule. And let's not forget about Stewart. His inclusion in the top 30 visit list tells me he's still in consideration, even if I'm personally a little hesitant on him compared to Hampton. If it comes down to choosing between those two at 10, I'm definitely leaning toward Hampton. And then there's the quarterback situation. Caleb Williams is obviously a massive piece of this puzzle. A recent interview with one of the new offensive guards gave us some insight into Caleb's mentality. He talked about resilience, about bouncing back, and about bringing a championship mindset into this season. something he's done before in his career. We'll dig into that more soon, but it's worth noting that the vibes around Caleb are trending in the right direction. One key element that could elevate everything for Caleb is the offensive line. The Bears have been investing heavily in that group, and it shows. They gave out a major contract to center Drew Dalman in free agency, traded for Joe Thuney, a 4-time All-Pro and 4-time Super Bowl champion, and added Jonah Jackson, a guy who's known for his physical style and leadership. That's a serious makeover. I saw a graphic floating around recently showing that the Bears now have the 4th highest paid offensive line in the entire NFL. That's a massive jump from where they used to be, usually sitting near the bottom of that list. You know what they say, you get what you pay for. And when you look at teams like the Panthers, where suddenly Bryce Young looked serviceable last year, it's clear that investing in the offensive line can change everything. Chuba Hubbard also benefited, putting together a standout season behind a stronger unit. So the Bears are doing the right thing here, building from the trenches, which is how you protect your young quarterback. Now, with the possibility of eventually paying Caleb Williams something like $60 million per year if he lives up to the hype, every dollar has to be strategically placed. You got to build the right infrastructure around your franchise guy. Protect him. Keep him upright. Let him keep his eyes downfield and make plays. That's something that was missing last year. Caleb was sacked a whopping 68 times, and that kind of pressure breaks down a quarterback's trust in his line. If you go back and look at the most successful young quarterbacks in recent years, almost all of them had support. Whether it was a dominant run game, a strong offensive line, or a defense that kept games close, they didn't do it alone. Think about Jalen Hurts with the Eagles. Think about Lamar Jackson early on in Baltimore. They were put in positions to succeed. The Bears are trying to create that same kind of environment for Caleb. They're investing in protection. They're bringing in weapons. They're creating a structure where he can thrive, not just survive. And there's one more thing worth pointing out, the mindset shift happening inside the building. It's no longer about just developing for the future. It's about winning now. The tone coming out of Chicago has changed. The players, the coaches, they're not talking about patience or rebuilding. They're talking about playoffs, about making a run, about proving people wrong. That competitive edge is what separates teams stuck in cycle from the ones ready to rise. That's why guys like Jonah Jackson are so valuable. He's been to the Pro Bowl. He knows what it takes to win, and he brings that fire into the locker room. The same goes for Joe Thuney, 4-time Super Bowl champ. These are players who set standards. They've seen what championship-caliber preparation looks like, and they hold others accountable. For a young team trying to turn the corner, that leadership is priceless. Even when you look at the contract figures, you see the commitment. The Bears aren't just making splashy moves. They're making calculated, meaningful investments. That massive deal for Drew Dalman, the aggressive trade for Thuney, and the push to bring in physical tone setters like Jackson, it's all part of a bigger plan. For years, the Bears sat near the bottom when it came to offensive line spending. That's no longer the case. They've completely flipped the narrative, and it's already starting to pay dividends in camp. Now, the next layer of this conversation goes back to the draft. We talked about the scenario where the Bears stay put at number 10. But let's entertain something different. What if they trade back? What if they slide into the early teens or even late teens? That opens up the board. Maybe someone like Will Campbell or Tyler Warren is off the table by then. Maybe the wide receivers run dries up. That's when someone like Hampton becomes even more appealing. He checks all the boxes: production, versatility, upside. And when the board starts to thin out, having a high-floor player like him becomes incredibly valuable. But let's also flip it. What if they stay at 10 and go a different route? Maybe a surprise name pops up. A safety, a pass rusher, even defensive linemen not heavily mocked that early. You never know how the board will fall, especially in a class where there isn't a clear consensus at the top. This isn't a draft full of no-brainer stars. Outside of a few elite talents, there's a wide middle tier where preferences and scheme fits matter more than rankings. And that's why I'm open to Hampton at 10. If your top guys are gone and you're left choosing between Stewart and Hampton, I lean Hampton every time. Stewart has some upside, sure, but Hampton feels like a safer bet. He's more polished. He's shown he can be the focal point of an offense, even when defenses are keying in on him. That's not something you find every day in a running back. And while I still think it's slightly early, depending on how things unfold, it could end up being the best move available. Now, I mentioned earlier the Bears' history of not always protecting their quarterbacks. And that's the lesson here. You don't want to waste Caleb's rookie contract window by failing to support him properly. Once that second contract hits, and it will, assuming he performs, your cap flexibility takes a hit. So now is the time to surround him with the best possible cast. That means premium protection, dynamic playmakers, and smart, disciplined coaching. And if Hampton ends up being part of that cast, I'm totally good with it. Because let's face it, the Bears haven't had a quarterback like Caleb in a long, long time. And while expectations should be tempered, the excitement is real. You can feel it in the fan base. You can sense it around the league. People want to see if he lives up to the hype. And more importantly, people want to see if the Bears finally got it right. When you're building around a number 1 pick, you're not just betting on the player. You're betting on the infrastructure. And from what we're seeing so far, the Bears are doing things differently this time. They're drafting smarter, spending better, and setting a tone that says, we're not here to rebuild forever. We're here to compete. So whether it's Omarion Hampton at 10, or a trade down to load up on picks and grab them later, or even an unexpected name, the key is staying focused on the big picture. This team is being built for sustainability. And with Caleb entering what should be a major growth year, everything matters. Every protection call, every check down, every run up the middle that keeps the defense honest. It all adds up. As we get closer to draft night, the decisions will only get tougher. The options will shift. Boards will get reshuffled. But as long as the Bears stay true to their vision, to protect Caleb, empower him, and build a balanced offense, they're on the right path. Whether that means calling Hampton's name early or going a different direction entirely, the goal is the same. Give your young quarterback every chance to succeed. And at the end of the day, if Caleb thrives, the team thrives. That's the blueprint. That's the mission. And honestly, I like where it's headed. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The buzz surrounding Tyreek Hill's potential move to the Chicago Bears is creating ripples throughout the NFL. The high-octane wide receiver, known for his blazing speed and game-changing abilities, might be the spark the Bears need to revitalize their offense. Hill, who has consistently been one of the league's top wide receivers, could provide an immediate impact for a Bears squad looking to step up its game. Could the dynamic Cheetah be the answer to Chicago's playoff aspirations? Tyreek Hill's career has been nothing short of spectacular, with numerous accolades underscoring his prowess on the field. A former track and field star, Hill has made a name for himself with his unmatched acceleration and agility. After spending several seasons with the Kansas City Chiefs, where he won Super Bowl 54 and earned multiple Pro Bowl selections, Hill was traded to the Miami Dolphins, where he continued to break records and earn first-team All-Pro honors. With his remarkable 2023 season, leading the NFL in receiving yards and touchdowns, it's clear that Hill still has a lot to offer. For the Chicago Bears, the prospect of adding Hill to their roster is more than just a dream. It's a potential game-changer. With a young quarterback like Justin Fields at the helm, pairing him with a seasoned playmaker like Hill could elevate the Bears' offense to new heights. Hill's ability to stretch the field and make big plays would complement Fields' unique skill set, giving Chicago a dynamic duo that could terrify defenses across the league. The thought of Hill sprinting downfield alongside a growing star like Fields is an exciting prospect for Bears fans. The Bears, who have struggled to find consistent offensive firepower in recent seasons, view Hill as the missing piece to their championship puzzle. The team's front office is reportedly intrigued by Hill's ability to not only rack up yards, but also create opportunities for other players. A receiver of Hill's caliber could help open up the field for Chicago's other offensive weapons, allowing them to flourish in a way they haven't been able to in recent years. With Hill's ability to turn a short pass into a long touchdown, the Bears could finally become a force to be reckoned with. While the trade rumors are still swirling, the excitement around Hill's potential arrival in Chicago is palpable. For a franchise that's been searching for its identity in the modern NFL, Tyreek Hill could be the key to unlocking a new era of success. As the Bears aim to rebuild and become playoff contenders, adding one of the most explosive players in the league would undoubtedly be a bold move that fans would wholeheartedly embrace. With Hill in Chicago, the city could once again see the kind of football magic that has been missing for far too long. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.